Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
Megacity Oceania is a game I just bought on a lark. I was at a game store, I saw the box and kind of what was going on, and I found it very appealing. I kind of thought it was going to be like a SimCity type game, but I wasn't going to be disappointed if it wasn't. I kind of thought, you're building a city, let's do this. Woof. What I found was a game I did not enjoy. In fact, the number one sin this game had was, I was bored out of my gazoo. So what you're going to be doing is getting these contracts and building on the tile these little structures that represent parks or city structures, etc. But they look nothing like it. They're really just built in awkward positions because at some point you have to push them into the center and they fall or they don't. So you have this like contract fulfillment game that's not very good. It's actually quite boring. And then you have this like little dexterity in, which is what was selling the game. I like dexterity games. They're really good with the family. But I found this one to be blah, meh, and not very good. It was one that really did not strike us. The theme doesn't really come through as you're building these structures that don't really look like what they're supposed to be doing. The gameplay itself didn't lead to any interesting decisions. And there are also positives. I think the components are really good. The rule set is, there were some things we had to house roll. But the pieces are really nice. When you're pushing it together, I think that dexterity thing is a really neat idea. It didn't really work for us. I didn't want to build a city just to have it fall over and to be punished for it. And sure, you can build better structures, but it does take resources and time to do that. And I guess that's the push and pull of the game. I just didn't find it very, very interesting. We kind of got into a pattern of like, things didn't fall over enough, so just build what you could and get it in there, but take the extra time to build it pretty sound. So overall, the game didn't work for us. I didn't find the decisions to be interesting. I didn't find the gameplay to be fun, and that's a cardinal sin for me. I probably played this about I think it was maybe 6-7 times, and each time it just fell flat over and over and over again for us. Now, I can see some people really getting into this, and I did watch some other reviews and trying to figure out like what do people like about this, what were they having fun, and the things I didn't like about it, they actually really, really did like, and you know, your mileage may vary, but for me, it was one I would definitely say try before you buy. Purge for me. Here is Megacity Oceania. You can see it is going to be everything you need to know about. It's going to be a weird city built on water. So we're going to have a rule book, which we'll take a look at in a few minutes. And then when you open up, you're going to have a nice compartment here inside that kind of sticks everything in here. You're going to have a bag with your building materials. And these are really nice little plastic pieces and stuff. There's a whole bunch of different shapes. You are going to get cards. And these cards feel a little cheap, but they're fine. And as you can see, they're just colors on that side. And really not a whole lot of artwork. So you're going to have how high you want it and how many pieces has to be in it. And every once in a while there'll be a little shape, which you're going to have an icon, and then victory points here at the bottom. These don't feel that great in the hand, a little bit cheaper. You're going to get some translucent cubes. These are pretty generic that you're going to have. You've probably seen these in a lot of games, etc. And these are just, when you build it, will signify which buildings are yours. That's going to be their purpose. You're going to have a bunch of tiles in here. They are different colors, and they'll have these little circles and vents on it, which represent electricity and water and stuff, etc. Basically, you have to connect these, and you don't want to cover those. They give you different challenges as you're going through. Then the remainder of the game, you'll have this little board. This just houses the different things that you can purchase. One thing that is kind of neat about the components is the rulers. So you're going to have the ruler here that you'll have. This will go in, and you can definitely see, it's not the most precise thing in the world, but it is a really neat little thing they put in here, how tall something will be. The little victory points are these little cardboard tokens. They're fine, a little bit generic, but they do have 2 stars on them, which can be a little confusing. Is it 1 star or 2? But I think they're just 1 point each, but it doesn't really matter because they're all the same. So that's the components. The tray is very nice. The building materials are really good. It's kind of hard to argue with the components really in this game. Here is the rule book. This is what you're going to have here is a little bit of introduction, all the picture of the components, which is really small over here, but does the job. And it kind of tells you like building and the play area and how things are made up. This is a very different game than probably what you're used to in most of them. You have setup over here, your standard actions in different colors, which is really nice. And then you will open this up and get more of your actions and how to actually build when you're in the city. Little note from the designer that basically tells you, give people time to play the game, don't rush them. And then you have the end of the game, the fallen buildings, and some simplified rules if you want to play with younger gamers, and then a reference guide on the back. I wish each character or each player in the game was able to have their own player aid, but you'll be kind of moving this around. Not that the game is too difficult. This is really the hard part over here. It's fine, but I wish a player aid could have been included for each of the players. You have to have at least 2 of each color. And what each of the contracts are going to tell you is how high it has to be, which you'll use one of these rulers when you build it, and how many building pieces it has to have in it. Every once in a while, you're going to have one of these that will tell you that there's an additional restriction that's required. As you can see, you need to have a little hole there or something. But the rule book will also tell you on the back exactly what each of these do. And there's 6 different ones. I'm not going to go into them in detail, but just know that they exist. Now, one of the actions you can do during the game is reorganize these, which is take one off the top and put it on the back of it. Otherwise, the only ones that are available to take, which is an additional action, is to take one off the top. So each round you have 3 actions, and these are 2 possible actions you have. Either reorganize it, or take one of these and put it in front of you, and then only you can do it. In addition, you're going to have these tiles. Now, during the game, you're going to have 3 of these tiles that will be face up. And then if somebody takes one, you simply put out another tile. Now, these tiles are going to come in the different colors that you see, and they're going to tell you a little bit of information. So, the cards are going to correspond to the contract. So if I want to fulfill a purple contract, I would need to have a purple tile to build on. In addition, so let's say I have this tile. This is going to tell me that I need to cover these 3 spaces, but I cannot cover up the vent. Keep in mind there may be additional restrictions, like you can't have this type of building material. So when I build, I need to build on top of these. Now, as for the actions that go, on my turn for an additional action, I can take one of these tiles and put it in front of me, and once again, to refill here. So that is a possible action. There's also an action, if I don't like any of these, I can refresh them and draw 3 from the top of the pile and have 3 new tiles out. So those are possible actions. In addition, there's going to be a giant bag of building materials. So on my turn, what I can do is I could reach my hand in here and pull out 3 different building materials, and that would be a possible action. If I'm looking for one thing in particular, I can simply look in here and grab it and say, oh, okay, this is exactly what I'm looking for, but then I can only take 1 item. So these are both 1 action, 3 at random, or choose specifically what I want for a single action. So why are we doing all this? So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking these tiles that we have here, and we're going to be building structures on them. Once again, I want to cover up those 3 without covering that up. So let's say I do something like this, and I may want to build on top. Well, that's not structurally sound. It's going to fall over. But as the game continues, perhaps I would build something like this, and I'd be building it higher and higher to do so. And I'm going to try to build something rather simple, like this, let's say. Maybe that's not going to work so well. Now, when you're building it, it can fall as much as you want. What you're going to do is you're going to have other tiles that will be in the board that people have begun to build. So, for example, there could be a park. In this case, the central park, that would be out there. Let's say this is the center of the board. Then what I would do is I would slowly move my guy through the water and connect it. If I connect it, that's great. I would score points for that, put a cube on it. I can put a structure out here and score another point. But if at any point it falls over like that before I can connect it, then my turn would be over and I would restart. So that's kind of what you're doing, is trying to build a giant city around this park. Now, you will score points for these contracts if you accomplish them, if you're able to have the tallest building. So if you determine you have the tallest building, that will be an additional victory point you will get. If you're near a park, you can put a structure on it and grab another point. And then for every tile around this with your cube on it, at the end of the game is an additional point. So there's a few ways to get points. Whoever has the most points at the end of the game will be determined to be the winner. Who should buy this game? I mean, is it for city building people or dexterity fans? Dexterity fans, I'd say go with Meeple Circus or Animal Paint Animal or something a little bit different than this, or Junk Art, or anything but this. If you're in a city building, I don't think you're going to like the dexterity part. If you're in the city building, I don't know if there's enough city building here. The city building is really just a thematic thing to get you putting the structure up so you can do the dexterity, I guess, to fulfill the contracts. Very bizarre kind of smash here. I didn't really like the game, so it's hard for me to recommend it for somebody. I think it's going to fall flat. I don't think the people that want to do city building and dexterity are necessarily going to be put together in the same box. For me, it's a swing, and it's a big, strong swing, but definitely a mess. Purge for us.